Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take those dense stacks of research and, well, make them useful for you right now.
Yeah.
And if you've ever tried learning a language as an adult, you definitely know the feeling. That sheer frustration.
Oh, absolutely.
You spend hours, drilling verbs, grinding vocab lists,
Listless.
only to have it all vanish the second a native speaker asks you something simple like, "How are you?"
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're just forcing it, like trying to jam a square peg into a round hole in your brain.
And you kind of are. Look, the reason it feels so unnatural is that the way we usually study languages, it's just fundamentally flawed if fluency is the goal.
But we all want the same thing,
Right.
right? To just forget the rules, have it come out automatically.
Exactly. And the good news, the research we looked at confirms this, is that real acquisition, it's totally possible, even for busy adults.
So our mission today, unpack that path to, well, maybe not effortless, but certainly smoother language mastery.
Yeah, less painful. It all comes down to this really liberating idea. Comprehensible input. That's the core.
We're going to define what that actually means. And more importantly, how you can find what the sources call a torrent of comprehensible input.
Mm-hmm. A torrent.
For whatever level you're at right now, turning study time from a chore into something, well, enjoyable.
Like getting hooked on a great TV series or, endlessly scrolling a fascinating website, but in your target language. Okay, let's get into the theory first. Section 1, acquisition versus learning, and this I+1 idea.
Right. So let's really unpack this distinction first, because if you get this wrong, everything else kind of falls apart, doesn't it?
It really does.
Why is that conscious study, the grammar drilling, why is it such a dead end for actually speaking fluently?
Because that's learning. Notice the L. Learning is conscious. It's studying the rules. It's knowing about the language. You can explain why the verb conjugates that way.
Okay, I can do that for some languages.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Exactly. It's slow, it's hard to access when you're trying to talk, and ultimately it doesn't build that automatic speed.
And what we're really after is acquisition.
Precisely. Acquisition with an A. That's subconscious. It's how kids learn their first language, They're not thinking about grammar rules.
They're just talking,
Yeah.
using it.
They're using it for real communication.
Yeah.
And the result, it's competence. It's that feel for what sounds right.
Ah, that intuitive sense.
That's the system that drives normal, fluent speech. So if you want fluency, you absolutely have to feed the acquisition machine.
And the fuel for that machine, you're saying, is exclusively this stuff called Comprehensible Input, CI.
Simple as that. CI just means messages you understand. The meaning gets through. That's the signal that feeds the language part of your brain.
Okay, understanding is key. But here's the crucial bit, the kicker. Just understanding isn't quite enough to make you better, right? It needs to push you a little.
Exactly. If it's all stuff you already know perfectly, you're just treading water. You need a little challenge. Which brings us neatly to this formula, this concept, I+1. Okay, so think of I as your current level. Everything you understand without effort.
Got it. My comfort zone.
Right. Optimal input, the stuff that makes you grow, has to be I+1. It's understandable, you get the gist, but there are elements. Maybe a word, maybe a slightly more complex sentence.
That are just slightly beyond what I know now.
Precisely. You get the message, but you have to stretch just a tiny bit to figure out that new piece. That little stretch, that's what ensures you keep improving steadily.
And what if we overshoot? Like I grab a really complex novel way too early.
Well, if the input is way too hard, say I+2 or I+5, it just becomes noise.
Your brain just filters it out.
Completely. And if it's too easy, like I1, stuff you already mastered, it doesn't feed the acquisition device anymore. It has to be in that sweet spot. Challenging, but ultimately solvable.
And one thing the sources really, really emphasize is that this input, it can't just be understandable and at the right level. It also has to be compelling.
Interesting.
Hugely important. If you're genuinely engaged, maybe you're like addicted to reading the news in that language, or you love that TV show,
Right.
that compelling factor, it actually speeds up acquisition. It's not a distraction. Fun isn't fluff here. It's actually a vital ingredient.
Okay, so compelling content helps. But what else affects whether that I+1 input actually gets in? That brings us to the next big idea, the affective filter. The affective filter. Section 2. Conditions for optimal input. So What is this filter? What's blocking that perfect I+1 input, even if I technically understand the words? Why do I still clam up sometimes?
That's the effective filter kicking in. Basically, if you're feeling really anxious, or maybe you're not very motivated, or you just have negative feelings about learning.
Like feeling stupid when you make a mistake. Exactly. That raises the filter, it acts like a barrier, and it stops that comprehensible input, even if it's perfect I+1 input, from actually reaching the part of your brain that handles acquisition.
So the best methods need to create low anxiety situations.
Absolutely critical. Low anxiety allows the input to flow freely.
Okay, so how do we lower the filter? The sources mention the silent period. That sounds odd. Like, aren't you supposed to dive in and start talking immediately?
Well, that's the common wisdom, but it can raise anxiety, right?
Yeah.
The research suggests, especially early on, it's incredibly productive not to force speaking.
So I could just listen for weeks, months.
Yes. Techniques like TPR, total physical response, are great for this. You listen to commands, stand up, touch the red book, and you just do them.
Ah, connecting language to physical action.
Right. You're getting tons of comprehensible input tied to concrete actions, but without the pressure of having to speak yourself until you feel ready. It keeps that filter way down.
And this low filter thing shows up in natural conversation too, right? Like when you chat with friendly native speakers, they usually don't jump on every little mistake.
Generally, no. That politeness, that lack of constant correction, helps keep anxiety low, keeps the filter down.
Go, hang on. One source said something interesting. That targeted correction can actually be the best kind of input. That sounds like a contradiction.
It does, but there's a specific context. It works best when it's correction on your own output, something you tried to say or write.
Okay.
And importantly, in a low-pressure setting, think about getting written feedback on an exchange platform like italki or Lang 8.
Ah, asynchronous, not face-to-face pressure.
Exactly. The source suggests that getting corrections on, say, an email you wrote about your weekend, that's incredibly powerful input. Why?
Because it's directly relevant to what I was trying to express.
Precisely. It's tailored to your thoughts, your communication need. That makes the corrected version highly relevant, unique to you, and therefore really memorable. It sticks.
That connects to the memory issue, doesn't it? Even with low anxiety, how do we make sure this I+1 stuff actually sticks in our brain? Foreign words can be so slippery.
They are. Our brains are designed to ignore stuff that seems irrelevant, so we have to make it relevant. We need to actively create connections.
This is where memory tricks come in, like mnemonics.
Absolutely. Foreign words often lack those built-in connections to our lives. We have to create them.
I read that funny example for German nouns. If a noun is masculine, imagine the object, exploding.
Yeah. It sounds silly, but imagining an exploding table, the Explosion des Tisch, to remember der Tisch is masculine, that absurdity makes it stick.
Because it's vivid and unexpected.
Exactly. You link the abstract grammar pointer word to a strong image or maybe a personal memory. That creates a hook. It turns abstract data into something your brain registers as important, something real. Okay, this is making sense. Theory's clear. Compelling, low anxiety, I+1 input is the goal. Now, section 3, finding that content. This is the practical challenge, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. How do you actually find stuff that hits all those marks? Comprehensible, challenging, and compelling. Let's break it down by level, starting at level 1, the beginner. What's the main focus here?
Build a small base of really concrete, useful words and absolutely nail the sounds of the language.
So start practical, like basic nouns, verbs.
Yeah, think frequency lists. One suggestion is starting with around 625 core practical words. Things like dog, run, school, car, easy to picture.
And visualize them directly, right? The sources mention using flashcards, but with pictures, no English words.
Special step. You want to train your brain from day one to link the sound of the concept directly, bypassing English. It takes effort, but it pays off hugely later.
And the sounds.
Don't neglect pronunciation early on. Use trainers, recordings, whatever helps you internalize how spelling relates to sound. Getting the sounds right makes listening comprehension much easier down the line. It reduces cognitive load. Okay, makes sense. Now, moving up. Level 2, the intermediate learner. What's the goal now? You're aiming for maybe 80% comprehension. That often means knowing around 2,000 words. The big challenges are building more abstract vocabulary and handling more complex sentences.
And the key resource here seems to be graded readers.
Yes. Graded readers are fantastic at this stage. They're text written specifically for learners using controlled vocabulary. They basically manage the I+1 level for you.
So they spoon-feed the new words and grammar in a manageable way.
Exactly. And here's a power tip. If your graded reader comes with audio, many do try reading the text silently while listening to the recording, reading and listening simultaneously.
Yeah. Studies show you actually score higher on vocab and comprehension tests doing that compared to just listening alone. It really seems to lock it in. Interesting. Okay, what about watching stuff? TV, movies? The sources had some strong opinions here, like avoid comedy. Seems a bit harsh.
Well, think about it from an I+1 perspective. Comedy often relies heavily on wordplay, puns, cultural references, slang.
Stuff that's really hard to get without deep cultural knowledge. I plus 10, maybe.
Right. Even with visuals, you miss the core joke. So the input isn't very comprehensible. The recommendation is to focus on genres where the visuals give you more support.
Like procedural dramas, medical shows, action.
Exactly. Think about watching a show like House or 24, even dubbed, when someone points at an X-ray or you see them chasing someone.
The action itself provides a lot of context for the dialogue.
Precisely. The visual clues make the verbal input much more comprehensible, closer to that I+1 sweet spot. And there was a great tip. Before watching an episode, read a plot summary online. Yeah, find one in the target language, maybe on Wikipedia. It preloads key vocabulary and plot points, makes the whole viewing experience way less overwhelming and much more effective for learning. Smart. Okay, finally, level 3, the advanced learner. Focus shifts here, right? Definitely. Now the goal is massive input. You're aiming for 90%, maybe even 95% comprehension across a wide range of topics. That requires a huge vocabulary, maybe 5,000 words, maybe 12,000 or more, depending on the language.
You're not getting that from basic frequency lists anymore.
No way. How do native speakers get their huge vocabularies?
Mostly reading.
Exactly. Reading vast amounts. So advanced learners need to do the same. Dive into raw, unedited material written for native speakers. Books, articles, websites, whatever interests you.
Reading for pleasure and, well, profit in terms of language gain.
Right. And don't feel you have to look up every single unknown word. Focus on understanding the message. The important, high-frequency words will repeat and sink in naturally over time through sheer exposure.
And when you do need to look up a word, what's the efficient way now? Bilingual dictionaries feel slow.
Use an online monolingual dictionary first. See the definition and examples in the target language.
Get a feel for it in context.
Exactly. Then, if you're still unsure, use something like Google Translate, but translate the definitions you just read, not the original word itself.
Yeah, that gives you richer context than just a one-word translation.
Much richer. You get a better sense of nuance and usage.
Okay, and lastly, the surprising role of production, like writing at this advanced stage. It's not really about testing grammar rules.
Not primarily. Think of it as an input generator. It's a diagnostic tool.
How so?
Try writing something complex, maybe describing a party you went to, or explaining your opinion on a current event. You'll immediately discover where your gaps are.
Ah, the words or grammar structures you wish you had but don't.
Precisely. Those gaps you identified, that becomes your targeted input need. You now know exactly what kind of vocabulary or structure you need to acquire.
And if you can get feedback on that writing from a native speaker?
Even better, it turns your own communication attempt, your errors, into perfectly tailored, highly memorable I+1 input.
Okay, wrapping this up then. Hashtag tag outro. So, look, if there's one big takeaway from all this research, it's probably this. Learning a language isn't inherently super difficult because languages themselves are impossible.
Right. The real challenge often is just finding a way to learn that actually fits into a busy adult life. A way that prioritizes effortless acquisition.
Through that massive, low-anxiety stream of compelling, comprehensible input.
Exactly. So maybe stop focusing so much on the drilling, the conscious studying, and start focusing on finding your I+1, finding that enjoyable input stream, and just acquiring. Okay, here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We know successful acquisition needs tons of compelling, low-anxiety input at that I+1 level. So think about this. What's one thing, maybe a specific YouTube channel you already watch, a genre of movie you love, a type of book or magazine you're already interested in? What's something you already find compelling?
And how can you now deliberately take that thing and turn it into your daily source of I+1 input for the language you're learning? Find that, and you might just find the key. Go forth and acquire.